Hey everybody, what's going on? Rob Cesternino back, hit or quit. And today we're talking about whether a new show over on something called Freevee is a hit. It's Jury Duty. And now here is a woman who is back on duty to cover a brand new show. It's Jenny Autumn. Jenny, how are you?
I am fully
This
situated,
courtroom
Rob.
is in session.
Yeah, it might look like I'm in a chair, but I'm actually fully in my chance for this,
Mm-hmm.
my chair pants
Yeah.
for this podcast.
Jenny, well, we're very excited to talk about Jury Duty. I think we'll do some setup here at the
Mhm.
top. We've actually watched 4 episodes of Jury Duty. We'll decide if it is a hit or if we should quit here today. Sorry to our friends from Race to Survive, Colin, Alaska, but we
So
just
sorry.
look. We had to, just like some people on the race. Sometimes we have to step away
Yeah.
from what we're doing to go and be in something that's a little bit more in our wheelhouse. And this was a show, Jenny, that in the young history of Hit or Quit, far and away, people have been clamoring and reaching out for us to talk about Jury Duty, which is kind of does blend the lines between a reality show and also a scripted show.
Yeah, which is why when I was seeing the suggestions of it, I wasn't sure if we would do it because I wasn't sure what the rules were because technically we're doing reality TV. Like the whole premise of Hit or Quit is like the weird reality TV that's out there. I think technically this is considered a like docu-comedy or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. But there is a reality. It is also considered a reality show. There is an element of reality to it in the form of a single person. So I think it counts. And I am grateful for it because this is unlike anything I've ever podcasted about. And almost don't even know how to approach a show like this
Yeah.
compared to the other stuff that we're used to covering. It's very interesting, but I welcome this change of pace for us.
Yeah, it's probably the closest thing we have to a modern day Joe Schmo show, which once upon a time I talked about on the reality TV RHAP Rewind with Chappelle and Melissa Denny as we went through all of the first season of the Joe Schmo show. And so, for people who don't know what we're talking about or what this is, let's just do like a little bit of setup before we get into talking about the plot of the show. But the show is as Jenny pointed out, sort of like the blend between like a scripted show and a reality show. And it's sort of like, I guess, presented and filmed as like the making behind the scenes of a courtroom case. And I'm not sure if it's around it being the judge's last case. Like, is
Yeah.
that sort of baked into the show or no?
See, that I don't think that got mentioned until
Do
the
they
second
yeah.
episode.
Do they
So
tell the person who the Brandon, who's like the main rube at the center of the show, like why there's such extensive like recording of the show?
do you mean Ronald?
Ronald. I don't know where
Ronald.
sorry. Could what I call him? Brandon?
He could be a Brandon.
He could be a Brandon.
He
All the
honestly
same.
he's more of a Brandon to me than a Ronald.
Yeah. Who's a Ronald?
The only Ronald I know is McDonald.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, yeah. Who's not Ron?
Yeah, he's not even Ronnie.
Yeah. I mean,
But
yeah, he's way too like not serious to be a Ronald.
yeah, I don't know. No, but this is the thing is they didn't seem to explain to us what Ronald has been told is the point of it because obviously he knows that he's doing interviews, he's doing like video confessionals and stuff.
Yeah.
He knows it's being filmed and being documented. So he had to have been told something about the reason why.
And
And I
cameras are
don't
following
know,
them everywhere.
but
Right.
he's not questioning it for whatever reason. He seems to think that this my biggest question is where did they find this guy? And
So many questions. So many
well,
questions.
yeah, there's a lot of questions, but I doesn't seem clear to me in the early explanation, like the setup in the first episode, what the apparent jurors have been told about the reason for the documentary.
Yeah.
But it's like very similar to like The Office, where, you know, The Office, they're all aware that they're being like, the point is that they're also being filmed and they're also doing like
Mhm.
interviews and stuff like that. So it's got that same sort of vibe. Except for in The Office, everyone is an actor and it's a literal scripted show. Whereas this is different, where it's like it's very scripted to a point.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know if it has anything to do if they used the storyline of
Yeah.
the judge's final case.
I don't know.
I don't know.
So he's under the impression that they're filming some sort of a documentary. I'm looking at an article that's on tvguide
Okay.
.com,
It's like the
and
behind the scenes of a
yeah, and basically, so Ronald believed that they were filming a documentary, and so that he is like being asked to do like interviews for the documentary, and so Ronald believes that he has just shown up innocently enough for jury duty, ends up being selected for a trial, which is going to be very, very wild. And Ronald is selected as being part of a jury with a bunch of people who are uh, actors who are pretending to be members of the jury, including very famous celebrity James Marsden.
yes. Now, Rob, if you were to introduce James Marsden, like what would you have his top billing as? Because apparently you're
I
not supposed to lead with X-Men.
You don't lead with X-Men. I think I forget that he's an X-Men, and he is playing himself in this,
Yeah,
and
that's an interesting,
he's
yeah.
very funny all
Mhm.
throughout this. But I don't know. I think I feel like Enchanted is the thing that I probably know him best from.
See, I would be the perfect person for this situation because I don't watch a lot of movies and like I know who James Marsden is, but I don't think I've ever seen anything he's in. Like I'm just aware of him as a person. So I would be one of those people that's like I recognize him, but like I haven't seen any of his movies. So
Yeah.
like
The thing that I probably also would say that he is in, and that I don't think he mentioned at all, maybe he is not proud of it, but
oh no.
that my kids have watched him in Hop, which
I
is
don't
a
even know.
movie where he
A
is
bunny
like with
movie?
yeah, he is like interacting with the Easter bunny. And so that is one
Was it
I
filmed after this was created perhaps?
no, it was in
Okay.
2011's Hop,
Oh, okay.
that he is in that movie, and then also, yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog, which is also a big one,
Yeah. So,
which comes up. And I did see him in Westworld, but I do forget, Westworld existed, like many people do.
yeah, it
So,
seems to be a forgotten, role of his,
yes,
including The Notebook, which
The
I
Notebook.
also believe it or not, I have not seen The Notebook. I know that's like a crime.
That is a surprise.
I don't watch a lot of movies, Rob. I truly, really don't. And that is one of the ones that I'm like, I'll watch it someday, but I haven't watched it. But even people who have watched The Notebook are saying, he's the other guy
Yeah.
in it. He's just the other guy.
The other guy, the guy she should have picked.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for The Notebook.
Sorry.
Anyway, so
I know. I was like, spoilers. I haven't seen it yet.
so that's the setup for jury duty, and we'll get into talking about the actual stuff that's going on in these episodes in just a moment. But Jenny, just overall, were you feeling jury duty?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like I said, this was just a totally unique viewing experience for me compared to the stuff that I'm usually watching.
yeah, a
Whether
little night and day
a
from
little
Race
bit,
to
a little
Survive:
night and day. Yeah.
Alaska.
So I know I was talking about my process, and I think when we podcasted last week
I'd love
about
to hear about
race.
your process.
And and I usually will take notes the entire time that I'm watching something for the first time if I'm podcasting about it. I find it helps me stay engaged while I'm watching it and remember things.
Hmm.
But as soon as this started, I was like, I can't take notes. I have to fully immerse myself in this. I don't want to miss a single nuance of this type of show. And so I put my phone down and I just let it ride. And it I sincerely laughed multiple times during all 4 episodes that we've watched. And this is my kind of stuff. Like I love
Hmm.
absurd I just love like absurd comedy, like And I really find the like improv style comedy
Yeah.
very funny to me. And I just find like people playing like normal characters with just like very subtle quirks that come up every once in a while. I think that's just it's just objectively really funny to me. So this is the perfect show for someone like me and the kind of comedy that appeals to me, because it's like it's not like hilarious, like meant. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's just like it's subtle enough, and like I'm picking up on all the little things about like every single character. It's yeah, it was just a joy to watch, and I'm already really like listen, if we're regardless of the hit or quit of it
It
all,
it's a hit. Come on.
I will be watching the rest of this,
Yes.
okay?
We're gonna watch it. So I really did like this also. I thought this was really like my kind of humor as well.
Yeah.
My only quibble with this, to compare this to the Joe Schmo show, that they, the stuff of like of Ronald, like having to react to all of these characters. I love it so much. Everything is great. I love all the twists and turns. However, that we get like the reality style confessions from like all of the characters, and we get them like in character. So like tonally, like it feels very much like Parks and Rec or The
Mhm.
Office,
Yeah.
where and the jokes are funny. I don't even want to say that they're not, but to me, I really wish that we were getting, like on Joe Schmo show, I wish we were getting the actor
Yes.
giving the confessionals
Break the
about
fourth
what it was.
wall.
Yeah, break the fourth wall and tell me like, oh, and then like yeah, so like is he really buying this? This is happening.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like that we're getting like it feels like we're getting like bits from the other actors, where the stuff that's happening in the reality is so funny. I just feel like that it kind of takes me out of it when I'm getting
Yeah.
like the written lines from the
As
confessionals.
confessionals. No, I totally understand what you're saying, and I had the same thought in that I found myself multiple times forgetting that Ronald is a real person that isn't acting, because he's like he's the only person that is not playing a part. So you kind of, without getting that fourth wall being broken at any point, it's easy
Hmm.
to kind of like get wrapped up in the whole storyline, and find yourself believing that Ronald is just a very normal guy who's also playing his own part. I don't know for sure, but I feel like I have heard that like one of the final episodes does include some like reactions
Hmm.
and stuff like that. So they might just like save all of that stuff for the end. But I do think it would be interesting to have that stuff like peppered in, like
Yeah.
reminding you that this is like an experiment or a reality show. Because there's so many points during these episodes where I'm like, I need to know like how this person was reacting to like this situation, and like I would have liked to hear that throughout uh the show. But obviously they're building up these characters too, right? So I
Hmm.
guess that's where these like scripted or improvised confessionals come into play to like help build the imaginary land of this case and these people, which I do find really entertaining. I just like also find myself wishing that these people were real, because that's funnier to me.
Yeah.
Like, if these people were
That
real,
would
that
be
would
very
be
funny if
funnier to me.
they were real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I know that sometimes Ronald is like doing a confessional like with another person, and I
Right.
totally get it.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe there was a concern of like, oh, if he's in earshot, he could hear what's going on. That he like,
Right. Yeah.
they don't want to like make him like sus about, oh, why are they pulling everybody into private to do their interviews? Why can't I hear what the other people are saying? So I
Yeah.
understand that there are some reasons, but I do think that there could have been other opportunities to like hear from people breaking character.
Yeah, like in
As
the
a
hotel at night or
Yeah.
something, like even just like a quick thing, like one-on-one with everyone at
And that's
certain
what Joe
point.
Schmo would do, where they would like bring you in from like the production and like, okay,
Yeah.
everybody, here's what's happening today. Here's what we're gonna do. And so, again, it's just I think that the Joe Schmo show was a better version of this. But I still very much have been enjoying what we've seen of Jury Duty so far. All right, well
Mhm.
let's start to talk through about what's happening here on
Yes.
Jury Duty. Now, also, I just want to also mention, so Jury Duty, I'm so confused, Jenny. Jury Duty is apparently like the flagship show of something called Freevee.
So Freebie is new because here's the thing. It's not a thing for us Canadians. I watched this with a VPN. So I didn't know about Freebie, but I didn't know if that was just because it's an American thing and I don't have access to it anyway. So why would I know anything about it?
Yeah.
But so yeah, this is
Yeah.
a new
So
thing.
Freevee is basically, it seems to me, is Amazon Prime but with ads.
Yeah, and you don't have to have a Prime account to watch
Yeah.
because I was able to watch it through my Amazon account, which is not Prime.
Yeah.
Um, so
Like I feel like that it's such an interesting evolution of like where we are of like, oh, cut the cord, you like get all these like streaming services, no commercials, just pay whatever. And that has gone to, oh, we're all like hemorrhaging a ton of money. Okay, watch the
how about
shows,
ads?
watch the shows online. You don't pay, but we'll put the ads back in. And there's like so many like the Plutos and Freebie and Tubi and all
Yeah.
these other sites. It's like guess what's back? Commercials. And so
It's
don't
still, like, less commercials than it would be on, like, cable television, I feel, right? And
mm,
the commercials are
borderline,
okay.
but
See, I'm so disconnected from, like, real cable television
yeah,
at this
if you
point
do
that I
have the
don't know
right
what's
Chrome
normal.
extension though, you can watch the commercials at 4x. I will say that.
I don't know if I have that. Although I rewatched the first 2 episodes, I think on 2X, and I think the commercials were also 2X with what
Yes.
I was
Yes.
watching. So maybe I don't know. Maybe I have the right
Okay.
Chrome extension.
So you
But
want to know what the hits are on Freebie? Okay.
the hits or quits?
All right, here's what's this in the scroll on
Okay.
Freebie. Okay, Jury Duty number 1. Okay.
I mean,
Then
not shocking.
another Freebie original, something called Sprung. Looks like a comedy.
Okay.
Judge Judy has a new show on Freebie. Judy
Oh,
Justice.
Judy Justice.
Yes.
And is it reality? Like
Yeah,
is it like a
it's Judge
it's
Judy,
just
and
more Judge
I
Judy?
wonder if like it's a Judge Judy with a different that Amazon is paying her a lot of money to be Judge Judy on
Mm,
Amazon.
maybe
Then
better produced or
America's
something.
Test Kitchen, no colon,
Oh,
underline the next generation, and it's an underline, not a cross out. Okay.
underline.
Yes. Yes.
Like the next generation is underlined?
No, there's an so it's America's Test Kitchen, and then an underline, and then underneath it, the next generation. I don't know about the original America's Test Kitchen, not in my wheelhouse, but this is the next generation.
Oh,
Then
okay.
Madagascar 3 colon Europe's Most Wanted is on Freevee.
That's a movie?
Yep.
Is that
Then
straight to
Golden
Freebie?
Globe winner Joy is available to be watched on Freevee.
Alright.
Schitt's Creek is
Oh,
available.
okay.
Primetime Emmys, 9-time X The Boss, starring, I did see some commercials with that. And then
Yeah, a lot of
a
the commercials are ads for things on Freebie, I
Ellie
feel. Well, for Freebie
Golding at
itself.
Kew Gardens, a concert,
So it's got
and
everything. It's
Hogan's
got
Heroes.
reality TV, it's got Hogan's Heroes. Okay,
Mhm.
it's got some new scripted comedies, and then it's also got concerts. So
Yeah,
it's
a
like
bunch of
it's
old
a
movies that you never would
yeah.
want to watch.
How dare you?
Yep. So yeah, Agent Cody Banks too, and this is Cody a boy or a girl?
In Agent Cody Banks?
Yes.
I believe a boy. Also have
Yes.
not seen that,
Frankie
but I believe
Munoz,
I
I
know that
believe,
much.
is the role of Agent Cody Banks,
Okay, so here's the
famously.
real question, Rob.
Evil
Uh,
Bong is a movie on Freevee.
Evil Bong.
2006,
Um,
when straight-laced nerd Allstare moves into a college dorm with two stoners, the trio smoke an old giant bong that proves to have straw. It's like a genie.
there's a genie in the bong.
It's called Evil Bong. Yes, that's on Freevee.
we need
Bad
a
Teacher, Friends with
genie in a
Benefits.
bong, Wanda.
Yeah. So there's a lot
Oh
of
yeah,
like
that was I saw a commercial for
Grown
Friends
Ups
with
2.
Benefits, which I was recently told I should watch. I also have not seen that movie,
Yeah,
but
so that's what's happening on Freevee. So I've
so
explained Freevee for the Canadians.
we fully understand Freebie now. So I do have a question. So jury duty
Yeah.
exclusively on Freebie.
Yeah.
Every time someone watches Jury Duty on Freebie, does James Marsden make any money?
Does he get $1? No,
Probably
no,
not.
I don't think so.
If he's not making anything off of Hulu,
Yeah.
he certainly
So
isn't making anything off of Freebie.
yeah. Oh, you can watch Perfect Strangers on Freevee
Oh my
and
goodness.
Supermarket Sweep. So
Yeah, Phil was
okay.
saying, are you guys just going to start a Freebie
What's it
you know,
called though?
I think he had a suggestion. I thought he said something like frequently freebie or something like that. I don't
Frequently
know.
Freevee?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. I might
Yeah.
have just made that up. I'll have to ask him later what it was.
Yeah. All
Feels like
right.
we're not getting rid of Kid or Quit for freebie. Come on.
Yeah, I think there's probably some good puns that we can do with free, but save that for another
Yeah.
time. All right,
Yeah.
let's talk about this. All right. We get introduced to Ronald first,
Mhm.
and I'm so curious to know, how did they find this guy?
I
Because
don't know.
he
Yeah.
didn't like audition to be on this. It's like, that they just had to find somebody that's like, oh, this guy is super gullible. Like, this is it.
Yeah,
This is the
they
guy.
that's like the weird part where it's like, do you feel like somebody like very far removed from the actual production of this show, like recommended this person, like, found out, like, did they the people coming up with this show, like, do extreme work with their like circles to like find the right person to recruit for this, and then they just would have done like the fake process of him getting like the jury duty letter, right? Like,
Mhm.
because he would have got, it's not like they would have contacted, he replied to
Yeah.
a Craigslist some like thing. It's like he would have had to receive some sort of summons, right? Like, you'd think.
Yeah, you're
How
right.
gullible is he? Did he just show up to a building, get a
Yeah.
phone call?
Yeah. And then like how in it on it was like LA County.
I don't know. Yeah, it's very bizarre because it seems like, is
Did
this
they rent
truly
out
a
the
real
courthouse?
is
Yeah.
this a real courthouse, or is it a set to like be, did they build a fake courthouse?
Because
Um
I've done like gone to jury duty in LA. They don't seem like they have a great sense of humor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're trying to, make it seem like they don't have a great sense of humor, but yeah, you have to assume that
Mhm.
they couldn't have been, some production company is like, yeah, we're just gonna borrow the likeness of the court system for this cute little show we're doing. Don't worry about it. So I don't know. I do wonder if it is just completely fake. Because if everyone there is an actor, then they don't necessarily need to be using a real courthouse. They can just make it look like one. I don't know.
Mhm.
But like, don't you think that like Ronald would have had to like Google where he was going? Like, I don't know. It's
I
it,
don't know. I don't
like,
know.
I need to talk to him. Like, can we? I would love if I somehow at some point we can talk to Ronald Gladden, because I have so many questions. I'm sure a lot of people do,
I'm
but
sure a
yeah,
lot of people, yeah.
yeah,
So I'm sure that as I believe all the episodes are now out. So I'm sure there's probably some
yes.
more information that I'm sure people will be peppering us with, as
Mhm.
we will aim to have all these answers for you by the time we talk about the next installment of Jury Duty. We will
Yeah.
probably come back next week and finish the series, right? That's the plan.
Yeah, so I think we thought initially it was gonna be 6 episodes because there was a drop of 4 and then a drop of 2, and then it turns out, like, a couple days ago, they dropped the last 2, so it's 8 total, so we just watched 4, we can watch another 4
Hmm.
easily, right?
Yeah, definitely. We
So,
watched 4 this week, so we'll come
yeah.
back next week with the back 4. But
Mhm.
anyway, so all right, so Ronald is going to jury duty. He meets an eclectic cast of characters. Do you have any favorites from the people that we meet early on?
I will say, like, one of my favorites you don't meet early on, so, I won't get too ahead of myself. Obviously, like, Jeannie is someone who is, like, one of the big characters, of the mix,
Hmm.
and we get lots of it. She almost kind of feels like a sidekick for Ronald a little bit, like,
Hmm.
it seems like they've created a little bit of a friendship. I think he's, like, entertained by how, you know, eccentric she is. We get this clip of her offering like the Twix. She like stole Twix bars from like some office or something like that. And she's like saying she's like an anarchist. And she's someone where I'm like, how you can't be like this as a real person. But here's Ronald. He's like, yeah, this is Jeannie is a real person. Yeah, so she's very interesting, and I think her whole storyline gets to be about her interest in um corrupting Noah, this young man named Noah,
Hmm.
who is also has an interesting first 2 episode, or is it even just the first episode? I think that he has his big thing. But yeah, I don't know. I think that the first few people we meet are interesting. Oh, obviously Todd.
Hmm.
Like Todd is a professional actor, right? Like how is this again, someone that I'm like you just meet Todd and you're like, yeah, this is just Todd. This is just what Todd does. Um he's got
Jenny,
the
you are better.
water.
You are better than I am in terms of like the names. Could you get just like refer to them
Okay.
as like their
Okay,
archetype?
so Noah is the like young nerdy guy that has the girlfriend
Yeah.
and is trying to get out of jury duty because there's supposed to be a trip to Cancun with his girlfriend.
Hmm.
He's got the
With no
glasses. He's
parents.
Yes, no parents, very important. So you can do things that you wouldn't have been able to do. Wink,
Hmm.
wink. And then Todd is another small framed man. Who he in the first episode he's got like the what was it, a camelback that he's got like his water like through a
Yeah, and then
straw
you can have
in his shirt.
one tube for solids and one tube
If it's
for
ground to
liquid.
a paste, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he has a lot of
He's
inventions.
Yeah, he's what is he into, cybernetics or something? Not lightsabernetics.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so we got him, and then there's like a few background
He's
characters
a
that
transhumanist, I believe, right?
transhumanist organization for su- supporting the use of cybernetics in society.
Right,
I don't know.
right.
I can't even remember.
He's
But
going beyond
also
being a human, right.
right, yeah. But I could see myself just being like Ronald and being like, "Okay, sure, yeah, I guess." Like, I'm not gonna
Sure.
question this. I have no idea what you're talking about, but sure, this is probably a thing.
Well, I do think that one of
Um,
the beauties of the premise is that, like, a lot of people are sort of, like, trying to BS their way out of being on the jury,
yes.
so they're saying, like, weird stuff, and I think that Ronald is like, "Oh, that they're, like, just trying to be as absurd as possible to try to
Right,
get out of jury duty." You know.
because the judge, like, they're not going to wanna be picking people that seem really out of the
Mhm.
ordinary, like, when you want it to be the everyman,
Right. So,
like
Jenny, and I was in this experience. So, it was some 20 years ago, and it was actually 2002. It was the spring of 2002, and I was really getting down to it of trying to be cast on the television series Big
Big
Brother, and
Brother.
so I think I might have had like an interview with with the Big Brother producers at that point, or if not, I was like on my way. But I also had gotten a summons to appear in Nassau County on Long Island for jury duty. And I
Uh-oh.
realized that I was at doing going through these two processes, and I needed to for that I realized I needed to be the exact identical persona. In one instance, I felt like it was going to drastically increase my chances of participation, and in the other, I felt like that it was going to disqualify me from participating in the process. And I felt like I just needed to ratchet up my personality and be like as crazy and outlandish as possible to be
You're just
selected
on.
for Big Brother, and also to not get selected
Yeah.
for the jury duty.
That's perfect. Yeah, so you just get to do the full, like,
Yes.
method acting of this,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
version of yourself,
I'm
and it's
gonna just
duly
really just
beneficial.
like, hey, I'm crazy. You don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm
You
like,
don't
okay, well,
on
this
your
is gonna
jury.
get me on a reality show and get me out of jury duty. Like, this is I am in the right headspace for this.
Yeah, and, not to get too ahead of, things, but, I mean, back in the day, I don't necessarily think that if you pretended to be racist, that would not get you on television.
That's
Reality
true.
television.
That's
They were
true.
just like, "Oh,
It
we'll
worked for
overlook
Peter
that."
Griffin. Yeah. Yeah. By the way,
So
Jenny, forgive my naivete,
mhm.
but is this a similar process in the Canadian legal system?
So I have never, received any sort of summons. I believe it's similar. I'm sure it's not exactly the same because our legal systems are not exactly the same. And this is not my wheelhouse even a little bit, but I do know that apparently Phil got like a letter shortly after he moved to Ontario. And so he was able to get out of that because he no longer lived in the province that he was
Mhm.
getting summoned for. So I think it's a similar kind of process, maybe just some few like differences when you really get deep into it. But I've never, and that's why like I'm I'm learning about jury duty, but not really because this is not
Not
really
real.
what
Yeah.
it's supposed to be like. So
I'm sure we have
it's not
some
even
legal
that
experts out there that
documentary.
can help us
Yeah. So,
understand what's going on.
well, I'd rather watch this than like a real jury selection
Mhm.
process, I'm sure. But yeah.
We should talk about James Marsden, because
Yes.
that he is a big part of the show from the jump. I wonder also, like, was he involved? Is he a producer? Like, did they have a role for like, oh, a famous person, and he was the person that they got to do it?
Yeah, I don't know because I like on the wiki page like there's the directed and written by like credits, but I'm not seeing anything clear about whether James Marsden had anything to do production
Yeah,
wise with it or if he was simply just cast for it as
yeah.
like
So
you are famous b- enough but not too famous that we can like maybe make this work.
yeah, I knew he was
Yeah.
in this. I assumed that it was like his show and he was like the like executive or like one of the producers, but it doesn't
Doesn't
seem
seem so.
like
Yeah.
in the credits for this that he is a producer. Let me just look on IMDb and see
I
if he
will
gets a producer credit.
Yeah,
I
I didn't
don't see
see it
one.
on Wiki, but, I will say I definitely thought that we were only gonna get, like, 1, 2 episodes with James Marsden. I was like, "They're not having him stay through this whole process," right? Like, at a
Mhm.
certain point, he becomes a liability,
Yeah.
not for the reasons like, "Oh, all the paparazzi," like but it's just like, okay, at a certain point when you have, like, a real actor here, like, does this
Mhm.
get a little because they obviously, like, they want this to stay as pure as possible for Ronald,
Yeah.
like, they don't want him to start figuring things out and being like, "This is a little too" or maybe they do, I don't know, I haven't finished it yet, but
Yeah.
I just thought, like, there's no way they're having James Marsden be a part of this for the whole series, so I thought he was gonna get excused.
So, just interestingly, so like the executive producers on this, one of them is Nicholas Hatton, and he is best known for producing with Sacha Baron Cohen on a
Okay.
couple of the Borat projects. So
Okay, so that
that
tracks.
a lot of that DNA is
Yeah.
here. I don't want to get enough to the forensics. And then interestingly, the other producer is Cody Heller. Jenny,
Cody.
would you hazard to guess, is Cody a man or a woman?
Oh my goodness. I think that probably a man, but it would be hilarious if this was our one Cody woman.
Cody is a woman. Yeah. So I think that
Wow!
that was a
That is
a good gag
beautiful.
from the production.
I love that. I love that. Chef's kiss. Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful.
So that is, right what you know, they say.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, so that's a little bit of the behind the scenes. So interestingly, that they have the Borat connection, which is also
Yeah.
similarly like sort of documentary style, and what's real, what's
A
fake.
mix of
Um,
characters and real people. I love that. Yeah,
yeah,
that
and
tracks.
so Jenny, could you just set up from what you understand? Could you tell us the case that is being
That's the
tried?
hardest question here. I like I'm still finding so I literally turned to Phil at one point, I think maybe in episode 3, and I
Did
said,
Phil like it?
Phil loves it. Phil
Yeah.
absolutely loves it. I said to him, I was like, I need Lonnie to explain this case to me, because there's a point where he like Lonnie is one of our jurors, where he's explaining his interpretation of the case, and I was like, yeah, this is the way I want this explained to me. But essentially, and we get these things pieced together as we go, because I don't feel like initially it was explained properly at all. So it's is this a civil case? Is this considered a civil? I don't know. I know
I think
nothing
it's a
about law.
civil case because they
Okay, so
said that there was
civil,
like $180 million judgment that
not
was on the line. Yeah.
2,500.
Not $2,500. Yeah.
It's a large sum of money. Um,
Mhm. Yeah.
so it appears that the plaintiff, Jacques, is an entrepreneur and had a company that was supposed to be creating goods for her, like some sort of warehouse manufacturing
Mhm.
of clothing.
Cinnamon and Sparrow.
So that is the name of her company, and I believe that she outsourced some sort of clothing or whatever, some sort of manufacturing, t-shirt printing type company to create a bunch of shirts for some sort of deal that she got with like an
Mhm.
influencer or something. Again, I'm probably butchering the facts about this case. And the one of the workers at this company apparently shows up inebriated
Yeah.
on substances of many kinds, perhaps, and makes a huge scene at the factory, and is responsible for some sort of manufacturing error.
Mhm.
Also involves him passing out in a pile of shirts and soiling himself and said shirts, and so
In
he,
in in a variety of ways,
in a variety of
potentially.
ways as well.
Yeah.
A variety of substances and a variety of soiling. And so the case is that this individual is responsible for the loss of income and I guess health and well-being of the plaintiff that is claiming that this has
Mhm.
destroyed her life. This one error at the manufacturing plant that I don't know. So this is my understanding of the case. Am I missing anything that you caught, Rob?
No,
Okay.
you are not. I just do want to just like I mentioned executive producers, but also the show is created by Lee Eisenberg and Gene Stupnitsky, who have their pedigree was in working on The Office, and so
See,
that DNA is also very clearly here.
which also makes a lot of sense. Like this, Ronald Gladden is our real life Jim Halpert. You know what I mean? Like that's generally what they're going for with this guy.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
he's
And
giving it
that's
in a lot of
actually in
instances.
this TV Guide article that they talk about, the way that they pitched it was, that what if you were making The Office and Jim was a real person and didn't know that Dwight was an actor?
Right. Which I think is a very interesting concept. So, I love that this has come into existence, and it does make a lot of sense with the connection to The Office because, like, even just the way the confessionals are filmed when you get the ones with, like, a multiple people in one confessional, I feel like it's very Office-esque. So, yeah, I like it more because there's someone that's not in on it. Like,
Yeah.
that makes it funnier to me than The Office.
Yeah. Okay. So, the case is, they're looking for people to be on the jury, and I thought it was very funny how they really set things up on the first day, where the judge is just like letting people off, like very like easygoing.
The old woman that's
The
like, "It's not really my thing."
He's like, "Oh, okay, you're good," and
He's like,
everybody's feeling like, "All right, we're getting out of here." And then the judge's car got broken into, and it seems like that really just put him in a bad mood from that point on.
yeah, at first he was very excited. This case was going to be his swan song, as he said. So, but that same pressure gets applied in that he does not want this case to go poorly. So, yeah, he went from letting people go simply by saying it wasn't their thing to seemingly just as valid, if not more valid criteria to get out of being on the jury. It's just like, no,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So yeah, everyone starts getting shot down by the judge here.
So I loved one of the early interactions between Ronald and James Marsden about like what has James Marsden been in.
Yes.
And when Ronald tells him about how, oh yeah, I heard Sonic wasn't good.
Yes.
Like this really
It was just like blunt. He was like, "Oh, I heard that was a shitty movie." He's
made him
just like
very
insulting
made him
him.
very sad. But I think that Ronald had like a very natural like reaction, like went home, like seemingly like Googled everything about James Marsden, watched Sonic the Hedgehog, and came in and was like full James Marsden stan mode from that point on.
But the hilarious thing about that to me was that then he apologizes to James, but like, I was so wrong. Like, I watched Sonic last night. Like, it was a banger. But then he goes on to like not say anything about his involvement in it. Like, who did he say
Ben
voiced Sonic?
Schwartz. Yeah.
He's like, you didn't tell me Ben Schwartz. He voiced Sonic. He's so funny in that. Like, he doesn't say anything about like the job that James Marsden did. So I loved that. Like, you know, James Marsden's role in this
Yeah.
whole thing is
In
that like he's
fairness, like
really pushing.
yeah,
He's a
James Marsden
star.
is like really like the straight man. Like he's not like getting like all of the big like comic moments with Sonic the Hedgehog.
Right, but he's just like, this is the movie he goes and watches, and then, like, he's immediately like, "Yeah, this other person was great in it," and
Mhm.
it's, like, feeding into like, what is James's shtick through this whole thing is that, like, he's really trying to, like, sell that he's, like, a real celebrity and no one cares, so it's like, I loved that someone that isn't even in on the bit is, like, contributing to that storyline without even realizing it, and how he was like, "Yeah, no, I watched it, and Ben Schwartz was great." So good.
Mhm. Yeah. So everybody's trying to get out of the being on the jury duty. One of the really hilarious moments I thought was when, and I want to make sure I'm getting my people right. Is it Todd who then after he gets told that he's on the jury, that tells the judge that he's racist?
No, this is Noah. This is
Noah,
Noah with
Noah.
the girlfriend, yeah.
Yes.
So he tried the trip angle, that was not working, and in his last ditch effort, he
Yeah.
says, I am a racist."
And because earlier Ronald had mentioned to him about a Family Guy episode where Peter Griffin got out of jury duty by saying that he was racist, and then that there was just like this very funny moment, and then the judge is
What?
what? And he's like, oh yeah, somebody told me to say that, and he's like, who told you to say that? I really thought he was gonna
Pans to
point,
Ronald's face,
yeah,
panic
point out
stricken.
Ronald.
He's like, "You
And
know what?
then
Never mind, never
never
mind."
mind. Yeah, he says it. And then there's just like a really funny moment later on where he's like one of the black women who's on the jury is like yeah, just like
Yeah.
you should don't do that. Don't say that anyway. He's like, yeah, he's just trying to say to get out of jury duty. She's like, yeah, you really I would lose that. Like just do
Yeah,
not
you next time, maybe don't even try that
don't
one,
even
or didn't
try.
even mention it, which that is so fascinating to me because, again, this is, like, you know, this is something Ronald said caused, like, something to
Right.
happen in the scripted world of this. It's like, so I'm trying to, like, imagine, okay, so after, they have this conversation, it's like, is Todd having, or sorry,
Yeah.
is Noah having a conversation with producers being like, "This is a great idea." Like, how does that
Yeah,
get
I
from
would I
where
would have to think that, and I don't know if like they're watching the dailies back and like a producer
the digital
flags that,
dailies?
or if somebody, not the digital dailies, but is somebody like wearing an earpiece? It's like, okay, because the judge knows when Noah says that Noah's gonna say that, and the judge who wasn't there for that conversation is
Knows
going to
that it's
knows
Ronald.
to
Yeah.
ask who told you to say that,
Yeah.
because then
To
they're
shake
gonna
him.
right. Right. So there's these are like there's a lot of people who are like real like veterans that know what they're doing who are doing, but it's like really fun when those types of organic moments happen in the show. All
So
right.
it
So
has to be the producer, because from what I've understood about what I've read about, like, the actors in it, is like none of them are like famous people. Like, they're like up and coming,
mhm,
like, improv scene actors, because you can't have a bunch of
right.
recognizable figures there. So you have to imagine, like, the more seasoned people in production are like watching everything and like pulling Noah aside and being like, okay, now you actually have to, you're the one that's going to say that you're racist. That was like, the fact that they're grabbing stuff that's happening as it goes is just like fascinating to me, like very, very entertaining.
Yeah. So ultimately, like the inciting incident that happens is that, even though James Marsden says, hey, I'm going to be a distraction, I'm famous. And the judge's like, I don't know who
You
you
don't know
are.
who you are.
I don't know who you are. I don't think it's going to be a thing. That meanwhile, the entire like deliberation is interrupted as like paparazzi comes through, which I don't understand why paparazzi would randomly like be like being like piranhas with James Marsden sitting in jury duty. It
For like
seems
the
like
most boring case. I mean, I guess they don't realize it at this point because they're
yeah.
still being selected,
It
but like
like it's not like James Marsden is on trial. Like I don't understand. Like if Kim Kardashian was at jury duty, I don't know if this scene would have unfolded. But like the paparazzis are going, and the judge like that's it. Sequester the jury.
yes. So James, calls in the paparazzi. He makes a phone call to get the paparazzi to show up to get him off of the jury, and it backfires. We're
Yeah.
sequestering. He's like, I can't have my last trial end up in a mistrial. We're sequestering you all.
Yeah. And
Beautiful.
James Marsden has this it's funny that he's like has like a meeting with a director, and James Marsden says like, "Oh, it's a he's got like a Me Too situation," and the guy just like comes out and says like, "Oh, is it Quentin
Oh, Quentin
Tarantino?"
Tarantino. He's like, I can't say I've said too much. Yeah, like the interactions between Ronald and James are so fun, especially in those early episodes. Um oh, just so good. So good.
Yeah. Do you think this must be like a weird situation where the actor is like, "Hey, I'm friends with James Marsden," and then and James Marsden has to like pretend to be his friend. But do you think that after the show, like James Marsden is like picking up Ronald's calls?
I don't know. I mean, this had to have been a bonding experience because they had to
It's like a Donnie
full on
Brasco situation. Yeah.
like, they had to fully on, well, I guess, like, James Marsden doesn't end up staying at the hotel, so perhaps he didn't get as much, bonding time with the rest of the jury, but, like, in a way, it's like, these are people that he spent a lot of time with, whether they realized, like, the reason for it or not. I have to think that how could you not build an affection for Ronald through this process if you're James Marsden? I think he's
Mhm.
picking up Ronald's calls.
Yeah.
Now is Ronald even calling? Because
Is
I
he
don't
mad
know
at James Marsden?
if I'm Ronald, I don't think I'm going through this and being like, James Marsden's a great guy. I want to be friends with him.
I don't know.
Like, I'm maybe not calling
He's probably
him.
gonna feel very burned about the whole thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they're gonna go and get sequestered, and now everybody's gonna go on and live together, and this is gonna really set into motion everything else that's gonna happen from here, and we're really going to, get to know well our other like 11 characters from the jury.
Yes. Yeah. So, and we get, James apologizes for the sequestrian thing.
Hmm.
I loved the whole series of people like not knowing what sequester meant. Like
Yeah,
Ronald's
because
like,
they
I
didn't
Googled
see
it
the
last night.
show.
It means like isolated.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, none of these people are sequester fans.
Yeah.
Um,
So, Jenny, why don't we talk through like some of the storylines that are going on with the other jurors?
yes.
And my personal favorite, I think, might be Noah, who now, as he is sequestered, his girlfriend is going on the trip with some other friends
Friends.
without
Mhm.
him.
Yeah. So, yeah, this poor, Noah is thinking he's still optimistic at this point where he's like, they've been sequestered at this point. They're getting to the hotel. He's like, I'm hoping I can get out by Friday. I might still be able to make the trip. Clearly that does not happen. They get their phones taken away. Like he simply has no idea what the impacts of this because he's like, well, my girlfriend and I FaceTime every night. And bailiff Nikki who is also fantastic, is like, you're not getting your phones, like you're gonna have to figure it out. And the side storyline of Jeannie kind of like preying on Noah, because we get this like confessional from her early on where he's so innocent and she wants to corrupt him. So we have Noah going through the like, the terrible situation of can't even be in contact with his girlfriend. She's gone on this trip to Cancun,
Hmm.
a couple of people, and we don't know who Cody is. Cody is one of the three friends. And then Jeannie just stirring this pot constantly because she's trying to get at Noah. Like the amount of detail in this story, in this fake storyline, is just incredible. And I love watching it play out. So
And everybody is working to like help Noah get more information, but things
yeah.
like get we could go through the whole storyline because things get really out of control
Yes.
by the fourth episode, where we have the debate
Certainly.
over, is Cody a man or a woman? And so we really start to enlist like a whole team of people to be working on the outside and then going on Instagram to find out what's going on with Cody.
Yeah, Jeannie becomes friends with one of the security guards, which I fully believe. Jeannie's got the Riz. So she is using the security guard's phone to go on Instagram. They look up, I think Heidi is the name of the girlfriend. If she follows anyone named Cody, they have to put in a friend request. We get a printed piece of paper of an Instagram post
Yeah.
brought to them
I don't think
of
I've ever seen that before. A printout of an Instagram
in black
post.
and white too.
Yeah.
They didn't have an access to the color
Yes.
printer.
Yes, and allegedly this photo from Instagram, again, I don't know, like for Ronald, I don't know at what point, like it's like, all right, hold
This can't
on,
be real.
this can't be. Is this real life? As somebody, David once said after, what is going on? Joe Schmo famously said. Um, we get this photo of Cody on the beach with Noah's girlfriend,
Yeah.
and Cody is visibly aroused in the
Yes.
Instagram post.
There is a lot happening in the shorts, and they don't even need to be rolled up. It's fully there to
Hmm.
see for everyone. And there was discussion of, is this
Yeah.
this went through the penis app. Someone said, oh no, this is Photoshop. This went through the penis app.
Yes. Yes. A
The
certain
wide
part of
angle
yeah,
lens.
a certain part of Cody's anatomy has taken the stand, if you
Yeah.
know what I mean.
Yes, all rise.
Mhm.
He's having his own trial in
Mhm.
Cancun. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. And no,
And then
and
there's a
Noah, it
caption that suggests that, like aside from the fact that like Cody is visibly aroused on the beach
yeah.
with Noah's girlfriend, there's a caption that's like in heaven with a real life angel. So like we're just giving it to Noah
Mhm.
here.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, much like Cody will, soon be with, Noah's girlfriend.
Yes, and I
Um
love, like, people comforting him, being like, "You know what? It's Can." I think James was like, "It's Cancun, like, like, she's gonna get reamed a few times, and she's gonna come her heart will lead her back to you." It's like, this is the comfort. It's like, "Don't worry, like, she's definitely hooking up in Cancun with this guy, Cody, with the massive boner,
Mhm.
but it's gonna be okay. She's gonna come back to you." Oh,
Mhm.
thanks, James Marsden.
Yeah. So that's very funny, as, that's going on. There's also, we touched on the various, inventions, that, Todd is going to be working on. You mentioned
Man.
what was it? The chance?
Pants, they're chair pants.
Mhm.
They look like almost like crutches
Yeah. I
attached
feel like they're more
in
like
like
butches than chance.
butches. Yeah, you think that that was the missed opportunity is to brand it as butches. Um, do you think that maybe because people would think that says butches, and so like they would butcher the name,
I
and
don't
so
know.
chance
Well,
is
I feel
like
like the chance. I feel like I wouldn't ever spell chance.
I don't
I
know.
guess yeah. I think
Here's the
more like.
thing. Todd has a lot of great ideas. I think maybe he just needs like a branding person. So,
Mhm.
that might be where he needs the help. But yeah, he has some sort of contraption that is like almost like a saddle thing that attaches over the top of his pants, but also partially inside of his pants, as we learn. That has these like metal legs that he can just sit. He can turn anything into a sitting spot because he's got his own chair contraption attached to him.
Mhm.
Um, and we get this very hilarious scene of him trying to get into the van on the way to court, where the one challenge of the
Problem.
chance is they don't work well with real chairs.
Mhm.
You try to sit in a real chair with your chance, you're gonna have a bad time.
Jenny, I really like Barbara, who is
Oh,
having a hard time staying awake during the trial.
Barbara is an absolute gift. Barbara gives us quite a few fun little one-liners. At one point, she's talking about her golden years, and she says, "Not much really changes," and she says, "I know, I still like a good lay." And we get like Ronald being like, "Well, there you go." Like Ronald is a big "there you go" guy. Like he loves just being like, "Yeah, well, there you go." Like this is his
Mhm.
response to the wild things that people say. But yeah, so I mean, we're jumping around a little bit here, but essentially, Ronald becomes the foreperson of the jury, and so he's seated next to Barbara and is responsible for trying to keep this woman awake, who's constantly drifting off during this case. Um, and eventually has to take matters
Is
into
that a
her
real
own
thing that
hands.
happens? Is the foreperson of the jury responsible for keeping people awake during
I
the
don't
jury?
I don't know I didn't even
It's a lot
know
of
there was
pressure.
like real tasks for the four-person besides just like standing up at certain points. I don't know.
Mhm.
So but I guess that's maybe part of it, or this could be another fictionalized piece of this role here. But Ronald's getting in trouble for not keeping on top of Barbara, because obviously if she's falling like asleep for significant pieces of testimony, like that could result in a mistrial. Like we can't have someone on the jury missing important pieces of the trial.
Mhm.
um so that is incredible. She's like, "No, I'm just looking at my blouse." She's like so disinterested in this case.
Yeah. So that the solution that ultimately they come up with, or that she takes an edible.
So she has a cookie, she says. So as they have a little recess, and the judge suggests to Barbara, like, "Let's take a break for coffee. And ma'am, I suggest you have 2 cups."
Yeah.
And she said, "Screw the coffee," because I believe she got the recommendation from Todd, who said, things that help you stay awake are like coffee, methamphetamine, cocaine. These are the
Yeah.
3 things that she lists
The
as
top 3.
helpful. Yeah, top 3 answers on the board. And so, Barbara has access to some sort of cookie that has sativa and dexedrine.
It is LA.
Now, so I didn't know that you could get, like, edibles that also had, like, uppers in them, like stimulants, because, like Dexedrine is like a legitimate stimulant medication. So I don't know, I don't think these cookies are legal. Is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. I don't think that you're going to the cannabis store and they are selling cookies that have sativa and dexedrine in them. I think
Mhm.
this might be a black market cookie.
It sounds like a real vibe.
Yeah, well, so and again, I'm very ignorant about the weeds.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if the
What do you need to
sativa.
know, Jenny?
Well, because I know that they say that like indica is the one that makes you sleepier.
That's
Because it's in the couch.
yeah,
That's what they
that's
say.
right.
Indica
That's
in the
right.
couch. And then sativa, I guess, is sativa one that will keep you more awake? I
I
don't
I
know.
I don't know if I would say like more awake. It's supposed to be from what I hear, it's supposed to be more of
More
like a
entertaining.
head more of a head trip than a
Yes.
body trip.
So then combine that with the dexedrine, which literally is a stimulant. Maybe that is the magic combination. I wouldn't have thought of it.
Mhm.
But uh listen, Barbara seemed to figure it out because she was paying attention and taking
She was
notes for the
very
rest of
alert.
the
She was very
day.
alert.
Yeah.
I like so in the next episode, they end up going to Margaritaville, and she's very much like looking to get her drank on
Yeah.
at Margaritaville,
Ordering
and
double margaritas,
yeah,
apparently.
and this is just having no effect on her.
Yeah, she doesn't understand. She's, like, complaining the entire time, being like, "What? I'm as sober as our judge." She's, like, pissed. She's like, "What is going on with these margaritas?" They are basically virgin, and, we come to find out, she's just been drinking the wrong ones. The margaritas got mixed up with Noah's.
Yeah, and Noah has been getting a heavy dose of the margaritas, and he ends up doing something that he regrets.
Yeah, I guess he goes into the kitchen. There was a phone there. He calls Heidi, his girlfriend. He's hit the tie is off at this point. He looks sweaty. And I think he just completely reams her out on the phone and breaks up with her
Oh my
potentially.
god.
Yeah.
Oh my
So,
god.
and
Well, you
he
do get
comes back
reamed
and
in
he's
Cancun from what
she
I
got
hear.
reamed and she was getting reamed again.
Dude. Yeah.
Different way.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean I feel for Barbara. There's nothing worse than, ordering drinks and thinking that you're getting the full experience
Yeah.
and you're not.
Yes, would you be able to tell, Jenny, if you were being served virgin margaritas?
With margaritas, yes, because I feel like I very much know the taste of tequila. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
like a vodka drink, I could maybe miss it because I think that, especially if it's like the kind of drink you order, like there's so many things in it that it's like it masks the
Mhm.
taste of alcohol all the time. But like a margarita, you're supposed to taste the tequila. Like that's part of it. And I think I would very much notice if it just tasted like juice,
Mhm.
like a slushy, which that sounds terrible. Like why I wouldn't be wanting to drink this much like syrup if I wasn't also getting tequila with it. Like that actually would be so upsetting to me.
Right.
What was the
Right.
point of this all?
Yeah. All right, Jenny, who are some other players in this puzzle that we end up meeting over the course of jury duty?
So one of my personal favorites is Lonnie, who is initially one of the alternates. And
Yeah.
we've missed the storyline of Tim, who ends up injuring himself and no longer being part of the jury.
Hmm.
And then they have
Yeah.
like this weird thing where everyone's telling stories about Tim. I thought that was like a hilarious part where everyone's like,
Yes.
yeah, and he like went to Nepal and he was like, he was getting bikes for like underprivileged children. It's
Yes.
like, Ronald's
And
like,
the
"Who is
only
this guy?"
interaction that Ronald had with him, correct, was that he said to Ronald that he was going to, quote, "Go to the bathroom to go rub one out."
Yeah, and Ronald says, "Yeah, might as well while you have time." Like, that is the best part about Ronald is he's always just giving these, like, affirmative responses, being like, "Yeah, man," like, "Oh," like, he's such a great person to have. Like, he's literally the perfect I can't even say casting because apparently he's a real person. I I'm going to believe that he's not,
Mhm.
actually cast to fool us as a,
We got
um
punked.
yeah, you never know, but, so yeah, Tim that was the only interaction that, Ronald has with Tim, and then he sits and everyone's telling these stories and, like, he's made these paper cranes for them all, and, like, Ronald's like, "Yeah, I can't, no, I only had a little interaction with him, like, hey, how's it going?" Like, definitely not going to tell that the one thing Tim said to him is that he was gonna go to the bathroom to rub one out.
Mhm.
So anyway, Tim gets injured and leaves, and so one of the two alternates in Lonnie and James Marsden get put onto the real jury, and of course it's not James Marsden. He's still the marginalized, as
Mhm.
he said, uh person on the alternate bench. So Lonnie I think is just hilarious. I don't know why. I love Lonnie and Ronald together. Like
Yeah.
Lonnie and Ronnie, like I don't know. I just think he's so funny and just the way that he talks about things. Like he's very realistic to me and I think that's why I like him so much cuz like
Yeah.
I'm like I would love this guy if he were a real person.
So that moment between that you mentioned, between where James Marsden and Lonnie, where James Marsden in confessional is talking about how like he feels marginalized as a celebrity, that he's not being used, and is asking Lonnie, who is a black man, have you ever been marginalized? Like this is, can you relate to anything like that? And Lonnie
Is
says that
this
he
the
has.
first time you've been
Yeah.
marginalized?
Yeah, and he says no. But to
Nope.
me, I just feel like that I was just sort of like taken out of that moment because like had it been like a conversation that was said in front of Ronald, who
Right.
is like, oh my god, I can't believe that he is saying that, in that he is being so tone deaf, James Marsden. But for me, the viewer who knows James
They're
Marsden is
both
acting,
playing.
Lonnie
Yeah.
is acting. This is
Yeah.
not awkward. It's scripted in a world where like and in a scripted show, you are sort of like suspending your disbelief of like, okay, I'm in the world of Parks and Rec. Okay, so like where I'm in this world where you know I'm trying to remember all the Parks and Rec characters, where Ron Swanson is like a real person. But I'm very much conscious in this world that James Marsden is not actually who he says he is, and Lonnie is an
Right.
actor. And so I just feel like that it was like such a disconnect for me to like these like comedic moments that are happening in like these written lines in private when I'm so conscious of, okay, this is a person pretending to be this character to dupe Ronald.
And that's the thing where I completely understand and agree, like, because so much of this stuff is funny because you're seeing it through the eyes of Ronald, who is, like, not supposed to understand what's going on and is like, "What? I can't believe these are
Mhm.
real things that people are saying." Um, but because and this is something I've thought about a lot watching the show where it's like, are they on 24 hours a day? Because, like,
Mhm.
they have to be acting like this in front of Ronald all the time, no matter whether he's in the room or not. So, like, they're obviously, like, having these, like, method acting kind of, like, conversations,
Yeah.
as their 2 characters. So it's like, what things are scripted, what things are improvised, and it's like, was this something that was written and they're like, "Oh, this is really funny," and, like, this is the kind of thing that would be, like, included in, like, a Parks and Rec or The Office type show, and so it's like, let's include it even though it has no bearing on, like,
Yeah.
Ronald.
And again, this is very well like might be a me thing because they're like in a movie like Borat, Borat is like we know watching Borat that Borat is like not a real person. It's Sacha Baron Cohen,
Right.
but Borat is doing things things like and saying things like as the character of Borat that are, like we're not seeing like Sacha Baron Cohen as Sacha Baron Cohen
Yeah.
talking about like what he's going to do. He's acting as Borat even when no one else is around. And that's not a problem. So I don't know. But
Yeah,
for
no,
whatever
it's
reason,
yeah.
it was hard for me to like switch gears between like wait, but that like why are you trying to trick why are you fooling me?
Right. But I guess, like, that's the thing is, like, they can't in order to keep the integrity of what they're doing there, like, they have to be, doing this at all times, so they're obviously, you're going to have these characters interacting, and I think if you're, like, an improv person and you, like this is, like, your bread and butter and this is the stuff you love doing,
Mhm.
they love interacting as their character with the other characters. So they're like that's part of the fun for them is like they're getting to do, have these interactions that have nothing to do with Ronald. He might not even be in the room and they get to like act as these people. So I don't know. I think that it might also have been confusing if we're getting like pieces and we're like, okay, is this Jeannie the character or is this the actress playing Jeannie like having, fourth wall dropping kind of conversation. Like I do think it could get really convoluted if we are getting that.
Yeah.
But like it's funny cuz even later in the episodes we get like James acting as a character he's reading a script
Mhm.
for named Caleb, and then we're getting him switching back and forth being like, "No, this is James right now. This is not Caleb." So it's like
Yeah.
we could literally be having this with the actors, the other
Well,
actors on this.
I did think that that was a funny storyline of so James is trying to be in this movie. What is it called?
Lone Pine, I
Lone
think.
Pine, yeah.
I think.
And he is a method actor, of course. And so
Of
he is
course.
very much throwing himself into the role.
The
And
everyman, Caleb.
yeah, every man. I liked when they went. He was like they went to on the field trip to go to the factory, and he was like riding around on the
Which
forklift.
this would never happen. Like this how are you Ronald and then you're like, "Yeah, everyone, let's get on the bus with the defendant, with the plaintiff and their counsel are there, the defendant and their counsel are there, like the judge is there with his little fedora and they're like in the factory. Like there's no way this happens in real trials, right? Like
I do think that they can like. I don't think that this is like a made up thing. I think that
really?
the yeah. I
This
do
is
think
a
that
thing?
I think so.
I feel like that's gotta be something that would really mess up. Like, I think that wouldn't you be given like, footage or like I don't know, pictures of the warehouse that I just like the idea that they went on a school bus to the factory and then they were just left to roam around this place. Like I that to me, I was like, this is the point where if I'm Ronald, I'm like, this can't be normal. Like I'm not just hanging out in the warehouse with the defendant and their like
Yeah.
legal counsel talking about the way everything was set up in the
So
warehouse and the machinery like
yeah, I just Googled in a criminal trial, both the defense and the prosecution can request that juries view a crime scene, and it's generally up to the judge to decide whether or not to approve it.
wow, that's
So
wild to me. I don't know, I
it's
mean
rare, but
okay,
it
yeah,
does
I guess
happen.
it's really necessary for this for this particular case. But this is one of the points that I really loved, like the interaction between Ronald and Lonnie, where like they are like, Ronald's getting really into the case and he's like seeing like things on the floor being like they've moved things here, man. And like these two are like sharing like information about the case where they're like, no, I really think like he definitely did something. And then they like go upstairs, like they're just left to roam in this warehouse. They go upstairs and there's like a ton of mannequins, there's boxes and boxes and boxes of soiled or misprinted t-shirts.
Mhm.
And like just the I don't know, I just find Lonnie to be like just hilarious as a real person. Like I truly just love believing that he's a real person because he's just kind of like a straight man, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's kind of just there and occasionally it's just like what is going on? I loved when he was talking about the case and he was like he's like, I wasn't really into this at first, but like now, we've got like there's a lady named Jaquise, and there's like I don't know what's going on with this guy. Like that's what I was like, I need Lonnie to be the person that explains this case to me because I want to see it through his
Yeah.
eyes.
That
Um
would be great to know more about the case. Jenny,
yeah.
what's going on with the shirts? So
Okay.
the shirts
Oh my god.
say Jorf, which I'm not sure if
Jorf.
that's a real word or not. But
I have not
apparently,
Googled Jorf yet.
apparently it is a word that is popular among white supremacists.
Is that a fictional thing or is this a real
That's what
thing?
I meant. I don't know. I would
Because they
guess it's
can't have
fictional.
Ronald can't fact check this anyway because they don't have phones, but
Yeah.
every like
So the Urban Dictionary says Jorf is a secret code for white supremacists to identify each other, but this is dated April 15th, 2023.
exactly. So
So
this I
I
don't think
think
this
that
is a
this
real
is,
thing.
yeah.
No,
Um,
I don't think Jorf is a real term that white supremacists use to secretly
yes,
signal to
I
each
think that
other.
it
This
might
is part
be
of
after this.
Oh, great.
But
Great. Good job, jury duty. You created Jorf. You're helping the white supremacists.
I
Thanks a
think
lot.
maybe.
This is on you,
Um,
freebie.
yes. But how did the Jorf shirts come to be?
So I don't know. I guess was this because they're like what they said that they got rid of the misprinted shirts and then there's boxes and boxes of these Jorf
Mhm.
shirts that the boxes are literally have misprint
We need to ask Sarah and Mari if the true crime in the
yeah.
show tracks.
Yeah, yeah, we need to know how much of this actually is consistent. But the other hilarious thing that happens with the Jorf shirts is that while Lonnie and Ronald are up there, they startle Todd, who was also up there, investigating the mannequins, which okay, weird,
Yeah.
bunch of mannequins up there. They startle Todd. He falls and I think spills Gatorade all over his shirt and he is having a little bit of a meltdown. He says, I can't handle having goo on me. So he's like, I need to get rid of my shirt.
Yeah, I was a little lost as to what had happened there and why
So
he
I
had
think he had a
goo on
bottle of
him.
I think he had a bottle of Gatorade.
Yeah.
Which is Gatorade gooey? I would just say
No,
it's
I
like
don't think so.
I think it's
I
really
was
sticky
like,
when it
yeah.
dries,
I was
but
like, is this a I don't know, is something else going on here with the room with the
well, that's
naked
the other
mannequins?
thing. It's like,
Yeah.
why is he up there with the mannequins? But he did say he couldn't handle having goo on him, so he needs to get rid of his shirt. And so I think Lonnie's like, just wear one of these. And this is where Ronald's like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if this is a great idea. And so Todd puts on one of these Jorf shirts that he proceeds to wear for the rest of the day.
Mhm.
And somehow I don't think any of the legal representation seemed to notice this because I think he put his like backpack on the front of him. So it was like shielding the Jorf of it all. But it ends up being a thing later at Margaritaville. So
Mhm. Yeah, he gets spotted.
yeah, so there's a table of patriotic men and women, and this is the table that they're waiting to have cleared so that they can have they've been so excited for Margaritaville. This is the first time they're getting a night out, both
Have you
hotel
ever been to
groups.
Margaritaville?
I've never been to Margaritaville. I
Yeah.
don't even know if they really do we have them in Canada? I think we
Ye
might have one, maybe in Niagara Falls or something.
Yeah. Let's see.
It's I mean, it sounds like an okay time. I don't know.
Mhm, for all the
There's
parrot heads
margaritas.
out there.
What what kind of food is it?
I mean, it's just like, any generic, like, touristy
It's just
Hard
like a
Rock
themed
Cafe.
Applebee's kind
Yeah,
of
yeah, it's like a Jimmy
situation.
Buffett,
It's literally Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville, right? Like
there
it's
is, yeah, Niagara Falls.
okay, that's what I thought. We'll have
Mhm.
to go. We're gonna go on a field trip, Phil. If you're listening, we're going to Margaritaville.
Okay. Yeah.
I really hope that there aren't any of the white
I think that there
supremacists there.
were look, I think I went to one in Jamaica, like, 20 years
Oh, okay. So
ago.
they're like everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
I
tourist
mean,
trap.
yeah, sure. I'm sure it's very
Syracuse, there's one in
overpriced.
Syracuse.
Okay. That's not too far.
Mhm.
Um so yeah, this is like the big trip and like the whole like the day that they go on the field trip to the Cinnamon and Sparrow warehouse. Like everyone's stressed because they want to make sure that they're back in time for the reservation at Margaritaville. And so there's this table of people, they're waiting for the table to clear so that they can sit, and Ronald ends up having to talk to these people, be like, hey, like they won't let us order food until we can sit there, and they're not having it with him. But then they spot the Jorf shirt,
Yeah.
and they said, who's that
That's
guy?
our guy.
Is he with you? Uh, so then they give up the table because of Mr. Jorf, and they finally get seated, and then a waitress comes over and reveals to them that he's wearing a shirt that says a terrible thing, and that customers are complaining, and this is
Mhm.
how it's revealed to the rest of the group that Jorf is a term for white supremacists to signal to each other that they are of the same kind. And what a terrible.
Like in casual conversation, like, do you Jorf?
I don't know if it's do you. I don't know. You just have to drop the word Jorf.
Frecken Jorf?
Like I don't know how this happens. I don't
Yeah.
know. But there's nothing more blatant than wearing a plain white T-shirt with black letters that say Jorf on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm gonna
is this gonna
update
come up in the
my
case?
Jenny. Hold on, give me a second. I gotta update my Twitter and put Jorf as a muted term. I don't want to see what any of
Yeah.
the
Oh, I thought you
Jorfers
were
out
gonna
there
say
are
you were gonna
saying.
tweet it. I was like, Rob, I
No.
suggest you don't do that.
Yeah. So Amazon Freebie has come out, and they tweeted excited to announce that since Jorf is entirely made up, it now is an acronym that means a jury of Ronald's friends.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Way to
Yes.
make something positive out of that. But,
Okay, so
oh
Amazon
boy.
Freebie is like, we're cleaning up after
We're
this. Okay,
yeah,
so we're not Jorfers. Okay,
oh no.
all right.
So I thought you were gonna say Freebie's coming out with the Jorf t-shirts that were
No,
found.
no, they are disavowing Jorfs.
Okay.
Jorfers
Well, I mean, now
everywhere.
it means something else, so I don't know.
The jury of Ronald's friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other characters you want to highlight?
Um, there's like some other like kind of background
Oh,
characters. Like we have
the judge. I love
Inez,
the
who
judge. I think the
the
judge is
judge is
perfect.
incredible. I
Yeah.
loved his little fedora outfit at the warehouse. I love seeing him out of his judge garb. And then Nikki, the bailiff, is incredible. Because she just like is not having it with any of these people. She hands them the $1,500 Margaritaville tab and is like,
Yeah.
I'm over here eating a crappy burger, and what the hell are you guys doing? Which ultimately results in Ronald having to arm wrestle James Marsden as Caleb.
Yeah.
So that James Marsden would pay the tab because he's the only one there that reasonably has the money
Yeah.
to do
Could have used
so.
that dollar for buying Sonic the
I
Hedgehog.
know. Yeah. Didn't get it. Got it on Hulu, so
Yeah.
but yeah, I think there's some people that I'm waiting to learn more. Like they have like a very small quirk that like comes up. Like I already forget his name. It's Ross, I believe. The one that's the teacher, and he was trying to say he had like 36 children.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He keeps talking about his wife Sonia. Um, like that is his thing.
Yeah.
It's like he has like a very
She
like
reminds him
limited.
of his wife. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So the plaintiff reminds him, not in a sexual attraction kind of way, as his wife Sonia, but he mentions Sonia in like another thing. So I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't know if like he's like a slow burn character or if like this is his only thing. And like I'm just curious enough about like what's going on with Ross and his wife Sonia.
Yeah.
There's like just so many little things. Like you can watch this a couple of times and like catch new little interactions between people and the building of their character. So I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. We love it, Jenny. This is awkward because usually this is the part of the podcast where I ask you, Jenny, do you want to is it a hit or should we quit?
Rob, if you
But we like it. I'm so
if
it's been a minute since we podcast about
I
anything we like.
know. I know it's like shades of Claim to Fame all over again where we were like
Yeah.
we were I mean I think we weren't expecting to not like this. Like
Mhm.
I don't think we were going into this thinking it was going to be bad, but if you told me right now, sorry, we can't podcast about this next week, we're going to podcast about something else, or if
Yeah.
you suddenly decided I am missing the farmers so much and I need to know who's left on the farm at this point, and we got to go back to Farmer Wants a Wife. I would say whatever you want to do, Rob, but I'm still going to watch the rest of this. I'm
Well,
hooked.
here's the assignment for everybody else. So next week we'll come back and we'll finish all of Jury Duty and go through the final 4 episodes of Jury Duty. But what we need our listeners to do is get to work on figuring out what we are going to watch after that.
Yeah, because
Okay.
that's because we
It's going to
can't
be
quit
early
now.
May. Okay. And so we got to figure out another show to watch. I mean, I could start to take a look now, but it might be a little premature if I look at May reality TV premieres.
And we don't necessarily want to lead the witness here.
I mean, and we could also go back and check out to see like what happened on Farmer Wants a Wife and see if we.
I'm also not against that, like a quick, because I occasionally see little spoilers because I like follow like the reality Fox Club.
Yeah. Okay.
Twitter account.
May 2nd on MTV, couples retreat. 6 celebrity couples get active this season with themed events that illustrate how a bit of risk, sacrifice, and compromise can yield great rewards in a committed relationship.
Oh, okay. That sounds already more interesting to me than watching celebrities do special ops boot camp stuff. So, I'm intrigued. I don't know what constitutes a celebrity couple or these people actually.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see what our listeners are thinking for us.
They have their ear to the street and their eyes. Whatever senses they need.
Okay. And of course, we will work to get all of our facts together by the time we do our next episode of Jury Duty. I just don't want to get spoiled. So I don't want
That's the thing. I didn't want to Google too much because I was really worried about getting spoiled. But what I have heard is that I think the final episode is not actual plot. It might be like almost kind of like a reunion or a behind the scenes kind of thing. That. So I think we're going to get some of what we've been asking for, which is the actors actually talking about the process, which would be very interesting. So I do hope that is the case.
Jenny, talk to me about your process of what else do you have coming up these days?
My process is just surviving a busy time in my other job and looking forward to May when you get to come to my neck of the woods and I get to see so many great friends at the live shows in Toronto.
Yeah. Too bad we can't get down to Margaritaville, but we'll be in Toronto May 10th and 11th.
We'll have to figure. We should have margaritas though at some point, Rob. You and I.
Okay, we'll see if they're real or not. I'll find out. I'll be the judge.
I'm gonna give you the one with the double before you have to go on stage.
Right before I have a cookie. Also. Yeah. All right.
And, but other than that, it's just looking forward to watching the next 4 episodes of Jury Duty and coming back with you on this.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. Keeping it simple.
All right. And then check out everything else we have going on over on Rob is a Podcast, including all of our Survivor coverage, Big Brother Canada. Plus, I got to talk about the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on the reunion on Nothing But Netflix and had a very fun episode of RHAP where we helped some listeners punch up their Hinge profiles on the latest Rob Nakiva Need a Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.